The drumbeat, not of war, but of Gaza's pain and suffering, raising its head on London streets time and again this past year. Sometimes feeling strong enough in the moment to crack open concrete and pierce the heart of a seemingly indifferent world.
I think having so many people on the streets for Palestine definitely sends a message to the government.
We got to give those people a voice. They're trapped and the world's looking away. We're free, we can come out and shout about it and raise their situation to hopefully for the better, for some changes to be made.
But not so far. Gaza's nightmare is nowhere near an end. Allegations against Israel of the gravest of war crimes have only grown, and most Western governments have yet to add teeth to the lip service they regularly pay to the sanctity of international law.
Free the people, free the land!
All the more reason to keep showing up, say the marchers. A common thread binding them, a belief in old-fashioned people power and its ability to change the world.
We have work to do, and sometimes we go backwards. But protest is one of the most powerful things people can do.
Misan Harriman is a Nigerian-born British photographer and filmmaker. He often turns his lens towards those who back their own moral conviction with action.
Wow. It is like bathing in humanity. And the sheer scale of humanity that you see, whether it's climate, Palestine, women's rights, voter rights.
Harriman is an ambassador for Save the Children and a regular fixture at London demonstrations demanding a ceasefire in Gaza.
I follow you.
He's also a bit of a local hero.
He's famous.
His own belief in the power of protest embedded itself in him from a young age, watching South Africa's anti-apartheid movement from afar.
I was a kid during apartheid. What could I do? I used to see things on the TV. During the Iraq War, I was a young man, but we didn't get the same live stream horrors coming from the people of Iraq as they were being killed, as we do from the people in Gaza.
Ignoring what's happening, he says, is not an option.
It's about right and wrong, and I know for sure that history has taught us that you cannot bomb anyone for peace. Certainly not children.
Both past and present suggest that to effect real change through people power is a difficult ask, especially in the here and now. Large-scale demonstrations in Israel demanding the government agree to a ceasefire in exchange for the Israeli hostages taken by Hamas in 2023 have consistently failed to shift Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's refusal. The largest public protest in the United Kingdom was in 2003, when more than 1 million people marched against the Iraq War. It didn't stop it, but analysts say the lack of an immediate result doesn't necessarily mean failure when it comes to the objectives of the protest.
Activists need to be just as savvy.
Sam Nadell is with the Social Change Lab, which tracks protest movements as drivers of social change.
So often you see protesters demanding the prime minister or a president step down, and rarely they're successful. But the legitimacy of that leader can often be fatally undermined by protests, which days, weeks, years later can end up leading to them stepping down.
He says events can be hard to read in the short term.
Protests, whether it's in relation to Gaza or the anti-Iraq war or climate change or any other issue, is often just one tool that activists, movements and campaigners can use, but it has to be accompanied by a range of other different measures.
Last month, Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney joined Britain's Keir Starmer and France's Emmanuel Macron in issuing a statement criticizing what they called the egregious actions of the Israeli government, not just in Gaza, but in the West Bank. It's It's far from enough, say activists, including Gary Pitcher, who calls the lack of a stronger response from Western governments shameful. But he also believes something has started to shift.
Just over these last couple of weeks, there's been a change in the way mainstream media in Britain is reporting on this conflict. They're being more critical of Israel.
Whether that's the result of protests like these, or simply that the sheer level of brutality unleashed on the people of Gaza has finally become unbearable, is hard to say. Sam Nadell says unbridled access to social media can be a double-edged sword when it comes to motivating group action.
I think there's definitely a sense of fatigue from the observers of all of this as well, because people do end up tuning out. And one thing I would say with protest is it can often be an important tool, if nothing else, an important tool to snap the public and the media attention back onto an issue.
It can be helpful in other ways too, say campaigners, a way of fighting impotence and despair in dark times. For Carolyn Heyman, it is a reminder of the never again promise after the Holocaust.
You know, when the Jews were being murdered, so many people didn't do anything, and the Jews could have said, "Where were you?" Well, and so I feel like that's what the people in the Palestinians are thinking now. You know, we're being murdered, and where are you, and what are you doing?
Sorry, madam. Do you mind if I take a picture of your side?
For Misan Harriman, the act of joining others in common cause, bathing in humanity as he calls it, and documenting it, is a salvation.
It's not a weight, it releases me. I would lose my mind if I witnessed the world as we see it today and not do anything about it.
Turning away, he says, closing our eyes, is simply not a choice.